An adulation he deserves. It's like unconquered territory. On August 9, 1986, Freddie Mercury stepped onto the stage for one last time. His doctor had warned him not to perform, his voice was failing, and in the crowd a fan's life would end during Who Wants to Live Forever. But what happened next shocked everyone, from John Deacon's violent outburst to Mercury's mysterious disappearance after the show. Today, we'll reveal what really happened during Queen's final concert. Freddie Mercury was born on September 5, 1946 in Zanzibar, a small island that was early life part of a British protectorate. His parents were Parsi and followed the Zoroastrian religion, which is one of the oldest religions in the world. Freddie's birth was special in many ways. He was born with 4 extra teeth, and later in life he believed this gave him a unique vocal range that helped him sing in 4 octaves. He grew up surrounded by African, Arab, and Indian cultures, which influenced his style and music. Later, when Freddie was 17, his life changed completely. The Zanzibar Revolution in 1964 became dangerous for families like his, and they had to escape. Thousands of people were killed, so his family fled to England. But before that, Freddie spent his early years in India. At just 8 years old, his parents sent him to a British-style boarding school called St. Peter's in Punani. This school near Mumbai became an important place for Freddie. It was there that he first started calling himself Freddie, and it's also where his love for music began. A teacher saw his talent and told his parents to pay extra for music lessons. This turned out to be a life-changing decision. At school, Freddie formed his first band, the Hectics, with 4 friends. They played rock and roll songs by famous artists like Cliff Richard and Little Richard. Freddie was only 12, but he already showed he had a natural gift for music. He also loved Bollywood singers like El Manchkar's soaring voice inspired his future performances. Even at that young age, Freddie began blending Western and Indian influences, something that later made becoming Queen's music stand out. When Freddie's family moved to England, they settled in a small house in Fulham near London. Life wasn't easy at first, but Freddie was determined to follow his dreams. He joined Eworth Polytechnic in 1964 to study art, and later went to Ealing Art College. At Ealing, Freddie became skilled in graphic design, and he would later use those skills to create Queen's famous logo. To support himself, Freddie worked odd jobs, including washing dishes at Heathrow Airport. While at Ealing, Freddie met Tim Stahl, who was in a band called Smile with guitarist Brian May and drummer Roger Taylor. Freddie became friends with them and often gave ideas about their performances. In 1970, when Tim left Smile, Freddie joined the band. Asked their new singer, he suggested they call the band Queen because it sounded grand and powerful. Their first concert as Queen was in June 1970 at a charity event. The band still needed a bassist, and after trying out a few people, they found John Deacon in 1971. Around this time, Freddie also decided to change his last name to Mercury. He got the idea from a line in a song he wrote, "Mother Mercury, look what killer Queen that they've done to me." Queen wasn't an instant hit. Their first album came out in 1973 but didn't even make it on the charts in the UK and barely hit number 83 in the US. Their second album, Queen the Eye, released in 1974, didn't do much better. It only reached number 49 in the UK. The band was getting frustrated, but their third album, Sheer Heart Attack, finally changed everything. It had Killer Queen, a song that became their big break. It hit number 2 in the UK and made it to number 12 in the US. Freddie Mercury wrote Killer Queen one night while sitting at his piano. He came up with the words first, which was unusual for him since he usually started with the music. The song told the story of a classy high society prostitute. What made it stand out wasn't just the story but the sound. Brian May played an impressive guitar solo using a 6p coin as a pick, and they added layers of sound with different production techniques. The song made Queen famous, but it also caused a bit of a fight in the band. Roger Taylor worried that its light, playful sound might make people think Queen wasn't a serious rock band. In fact, Killer Queen almost didn't make it on the album. It was recorded last, and there was a big debate about whether to include it. Then came Boom Rap Cid. This song, released in 1975 as part of a night at the opera, made Queen superstars. It wasn't easy to make. It took 3 weeks to record, had 180 different overdubs, and cost £40,000 to produce, making it the most expensive song ever at the time. The song was strange and different. It had 3 distinct parts: a slow, emotional beginning, an opera-like a middle, and a loud rock finish. EMI executives didn't believe it would work. They thought it was way too long and asked the band to cut it down for radio. The band refused. Instead, their manager secretly gave the song to a popular DJ, Kenny Everett. He played it 14 times in own weekend, and fans loved it. The song topped the UK charts for 9 weeks straight. It became even more popular in 1991 after Freddie Mercury passed away, staying at number 1 for another 5 weeks in the US. It wasn't as big initially, reaching number 9 in 1976, but in 1992, after being used in the movie Wayne's World, it climbed to number 2. It went on to sell millions of copies in became one of the best-selling singles in UK history. Queen also changed the music video game. The video for Bohemian Rhapsody was filmed in just 4 hours and cost £4,500. Despite being simple, it was groundbreaking. The famous shot of Theban's 4 faces in a prism shape was created using a trick called visual feedback. It became iconic and made music videos a key part of promoting songs. Later, Queen kept making memorable videos. And I Wanna Break Free, the band dressed in women's clothes inspired by the British soap opera Coronation Street. It was funny and bold, but MTV banned it in the US. Meanwhile, Radio Gaga was one of the most expensive videos of its time, costing $100,000. It featured scenes from the movie Metropolis, and Queen paid $100,000 just to use those clips. Queen's live shows were as impressive as their videos. In 1975, during their Night at the Opera tour, they used a huge custom lighting setup with 168 lights and 12 aircraft landing lights. It was so massive it needed its own generator and took hours to set up. By 1986, at their famous Wembley concerts, their lighting rig had grown to over 1,000 lights, including a massive crown-shaped frame weighing 5 tons. Freddie Mercury's stage presence also evolved over time. When Queen started, Freddie was shy and often stayed behind his piano during performances. The iconic mic stand he used without the bottom half actually came about by accident. One night the mic stand broke during a performance, but Freddie found the freedom it gave him and stuck with it. Over time his style became more flamboyant. In 1973 he began painting his nails black, inspired by Jimi Hendrix, and started wearing dramatic glam rock outfits designed by Zandra Rhodes. In Glam Rock Outfits 1976, he wore his famous Harlequin jumpsuit, a tight costume that had to be sewn onto him before each show. By the 1980s, Freddie transformed again. He grew a thick mustache and adopted a more macho look with leather pants and military-style jackets. This change was inspired by the gay club scene in New York. He still kept his playful energy. In the I Want to Break Free video, he appeared in drag but with his mustache intact, which confused some people and stirred up controversy. Freddie's stage antics became wilder as time went on. During the Hot Space tour in 1982, he started riding on the shoulders of a crew member dressed as Darth Vader while singing "We Will Rock." Even more controversial why its lyrics and music video were too bold for the time, and MTV banned it. This upset fans, but Freddie kept exploring new ideas in music. First solo album. In 1985, Freddie released his first solo album, Mr. Bad Guy. He worked on it for 2 years in Munich, paying attention to very little detail. The album was full of dance music and synthesizers, showing Freddie's creative side. He even dedicated it to his cats, writing this album as "For Me Cat Jerry," also Tom, Oscar and Tiffany, and all the cat lovers in the universe's crew. Everybody else. It reached the top 10 in the UK but didn't do well in the Still, it gave Freddie the confidence to do more. Later in 1987, he worked with opera singer Montserrat Cabal on the album Barcelona. The title track mixed opera and rock, and it showed how powerful Freddie's voice was. The song became the anthem for the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, but sadly Freddie didn't live to see it performed. At the same time, Queen was struggling as a band. After Hot Space came out, they went on tour, but by the end of 1982 they decided to take a break. The band wasn't getting along. Brian May later admitted, "We hated each other for a while. Things got worse while recording their 1984 album The Works." Brian got so frustrated that he left the studio and spent hours in a park thinking about quitting. John Deacon suddenly left for Bali without telling anyone, which shocked everyone. When Live Aid Freddie heard about it, he jokingly sang "Bali Ha'i" from South Pacific. There was also trouble outside the band. In 1984, Queen performed in Sun City, South Africa during a party. Many people were angry because the country had racist laws. The band was banned by the Musicians Union and criticized by the United Nations. Later, at a concert in Rio de Janeiro in 1985, the crowd even booed them. Freddie's personal life added to the chaos. His manager Paul Priner caused a lot of problems within the band. Brian May didn't even want to name him in interviews, just calling him the guy who looked after Fred. Everything changed on July 13, 1985, when Queen performed at Live Aid. Freddie wasn't feeling well and had vocal problems, but he decided to perform anyway. When they went on stage at 6:41 p.m., they delivered one of the greatest live performances ever. In 21 minutes they played parts of their biggest hits, including Bohemian Rhapsody, Radio Gaga, and We Are the Champions. During Radio Gaga, Freddie led the crowd the magic touring, clapping, creating an unforgettable moment. Over 1.9 billion people watched the performance on TV. Backstage, Elton John told them, "You bastards, you stole the show." The performance revived Queen's scarer and brought new energy to the band. After Live Aid, Queen started working on a new album A Kind of Magicite was supposed to be the sound TRCK for the movie Highlander, which was about immortality. They began recording in 1985 using new digital technology to make the album sound modern. The title song A Kind of Magic came from a line in the movie, but Freddie changed the original version, which upset Roger Taylor. Another song, Who Wants to Live Forever, was written by Brian May after watching a scene from the movie. It had an 80-piece orchestra giving it a big dramatic feel. In 1986, Queen planned their biggest and most exciting tour ever. They called it the Magic Tour, and it was unlike anything they had done before. They planned to play 26 shows in 9 different countries across Europe in just 8 weeks. The stage for the tour was breathtaking. It was massive, 160 feet wide with 2 long walkways extending into the crowd. It was one of the largest ever built, and it took over 8 m of cables to power everything. The video screen was 20 feet tall, and it was so big it needed its own generator. The sound system was so powerful that people miles away could hear the music. Some even complained about the noise in nearby villages. On August 9, 1986, Freddie Mercury walked onto the stage at Nebber Park. It was 6:41 p.m. He didn't know it would be his last live performance with Queen. The crowd was huge. 120,000 people had come to see the show. The energy was incredible. As the first chords of One Vision started, Freddie wore his famous white tank top and tight jeans. He looked confident, but he was not in great health that morning. His doctor told him his throat was inflamed. He warned Freddie not to perform, but Freddie didn't listen. Refused to let his fans down as he sang One Man, One Goal, One Mission. His voice cracked a little, but no one seemed to care. Behind the scenes, the band had prepared a backup set list. They worried Freddie might struggle with the harder songs, but as the show went on, he proved them wrong. He wanted to give the audience the show they had come for. Bohemian Rhapsody. During Under Pressure, his voice cracked in a high note instead of stopping. He turned to the crowd and had them sing with him. This made the moment even more special. At 8:03 p.m. the band played Who Wants to Live Forever. It was one of the most emotional moments of the night. The lyrics hit differently, as if Freddie was singing about his own life. Bohemian Rhapsody came at 8:17 p.m. It was one of the hardest songs in Queen's catalog, but Freddie gave it everything. He even sang parts of the operatic section live, which was usually played from tape. He hit a high note he hadn't attempted in years, and the crowd went wild. The last song of the night was We Are the Champions. Freddie's voice cracked again, but instead of pulling back, he held the note even longer. The crowd roared so loudly that it was heard in nearby villages. At 8:59 tragedy strikes. The band played God Save the Queen. Usually this was when they would leave the stage, but Freddie stayed. He stood still, eyes closed, as the music played. As the final notes faded, Freddie turned to the crowd. He bowed deeply and said, "Thank you, lovely people. Good night and sweet dreams." It was 9:02 p.m. Freddie Mercury had just given his last live performance, but behind the scenes things were not good. Backstage, something surprising happened. John Deacon, the quiet and calm assist, acted in a way no one had seen before. Just 18 minutes before the show, threw his bass guitar across the dressing room. It almost hit Roger Taylor's drum tech. People were shocked because Deacon had never been this upset in his 15 years with the band. He later told Brian May, "I can't do this, Anna Marie, it's too much." He seemed to feel that this might be their last show with Freddie. Deacon also argued with the sound engineer, demanding changes to his bass levels. Even though he was clearly upset when Deacon walked on stage, he gave one of the best performances of his life. Something tragic also happened that night in the crowd. A 23-year-old fan named Michael Jennings collapsed during the song Who Wants to Live Forever. He was standing about 50 m from the stage. Medics arrived quickly, but they couldn't save him. He was pronounced dead at 9:43 p.m. As Queen was playing Bohemian Rhapsody, the band didn't hear about it until after the show. Jennings had an undiagnosed heart condition, and the excitement of the concert, along with the huge crowd of 120,000 people, made it worse. Just 2 days earlier, Jennings had won his ticket in a radio contest. His friend Sarah, who was with him, said he was having the time of his life. He kept saying it was the best night ever. Then suddenly he just fell. This heartbreaking moment led to stricter safety rules for big concerts in the future. After the show, Freddie Mercury left the stage quickly, which wasn't like him normally.